We hope you enjoy this clip. Before you watch it, please hit that subscribe button.
I heard you guys are talking about me.
Yeah, that you're an asshole.
It's true. It's true. I'm 1A, though, so that means someone else is 1B.
CJ, Mr. President of the NBP. Crazy day. Crazy 48 hours. Let's go back to last week, actually. Let's call it crazy 6 days in the NBA. And the Western Conference in particular has been transformed with the addition of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Lakers clearly getting better as well. You tweeted out, this is all because Ja Morant said he was good in the West.
I thought it was funny. I remember him saying that he was good in the West and things were going really well for them, and then they started losing some games, and I think an article came out and he said that Memphis gets blamed for everything, so I felt like it was the right time to to blame him in Memphis for...
That goes in the asshole review.
By the way, the tweet hit, though. It worked.
He never responded to my ad, but I know he's seen my mention.
All right. Yeah. In all seriousness, though, West clearly better over the last 6 days. Which move do you think moves the needle the most?
I would say the one that was hardest to miss. KD going to the Suns just because of his star power. Who's clapping in here?
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Boo.
Ooh.
I respect that. I respect that. He's got the jersey and everything.
The only reason you can stay is because I heard the money is going to charity for the tickets. So you can stay. Otherwise, I would have security escort you out.
That's not an asshole move.
I think based on how good he is, obviously as a player, what he brings to the table from a versatility standpoint, I think it's hard not to say that was the one that you noticed the most. Obviously, Book, you guys CP, they're able to make that trade and keep Ayton, so they become better for sure, I would say. Obviously, they lose McCollum, they lose Cam Johnson, some picks, and Jay Crowder, who wasn't playing. But I think that was the one you noticed. You obviously noticed the Dallas one because that's next door, right? You know, we play them pretty often. It's like a 45-minute flight. Memphis gets better. They grab some shooters. So I think everybody's kind of reloading and figuring out how to retool and compete at the highest level.
Is it stressful at all that two of the Eastern Conference starters are now in the West? Like, there's an element of like this. The West was competitive enough as is, and you just throw these guys into the mix.
I wish they stood in the East, but it is what it is, you know. I mean, it definitely gets tougher, but you know, we just gotta compete. Get ready to compete. You know, it's gonna be tough.
I think what's interesting about the Western Conference in particular was Denver really had separated themselves going into the deadline. Memphis was firmly in second, Sacramento in third, and then 4 through 13 was separated by 2 or 3 games in the loss column. And nearly every team made moves to go for it. A month ago, it felt like, with Brooklyn playing well with KD in the lineup, it felt like the East was so top-heavy. And now it's like flipped completely. And I think it's remarkable how quickly things change in the NBA. It feels like literally 4 weeks ago, we were up here, or not up here, but we were on the podcast talking about the Brooklyn Nets being a Tier 1 championship contender. And now both those guys are gone. CJ, you got traded last trade deadline, and you talked about it recently on the Draymond show, but just the experience of that as a player. So many guys today having gone through that. Yeah. I went through it twice. I documented the one from Pelicans pretty strongly. But just that experience of getting traded, having to move your family, all that stuff.
I was fortunate to be in a situation where I didn't find out on Twitter. I didn't find out like, you know, some players have, watching the actual TV and seeing their name at the bottom, or as some players have at the gas station while they're getting gas. So it was more of a situation in which my family and I kind of orchestrated it behind the scenes, kind of speaking to the front office, speaking to management about changes that we felt were happening, and that it was basically time. The writing was on the wall, and we could kind of work this out. And I joke about it, you know, now I can joke about it, right? I said there's good divorces and bad divorces. This doesn't have to be a bad divorce. This can be like a amicable split where, you know, you get custody of the kids, you can still visit, you know what I mean, that type of situation. And it was like, I can always come back to Oregon. It won't be home, but like I can come back and visit, you know what I mean? And we were able to work something out to where it didn't catch me off guard. We got to talk about teams, and it was a happy divorce. So I'm fortunate, but I think with that, obviously, you have the family dynamic of having to leave. You know, my son was 4 weeks old. I actually went to his 4-week appointment, and I flew out the same day. My family stayed behind, so that was tough. Obviously, my wife, she being back in Oregon, me being in New Orleans, you know, that was obviously difficult for us as first-time parents. And the work dynamic, right? If your significant other works, and my wife's a dentist, trying to figure out getting licensed in another state, there's a lot of issues that you face, figuring out the housing situation. People only see the amount of money you make, right? And they think, oh, you make good money, you're fine. It's like, yeah, we are fine. We do make great money. But there are some real issues that are associated with the human element, especially when you involve kids. And for me, my kid was 4 weeks old, but for some people, their kids are in school. There's that situation that makes it hard. And I always equate it to, imagine, you know, you work a 9 to 5, and one day you work in this city, the next day you work in another city, and you have to figure out, you know, where you're going to live at, and you're moving. Your significant other may or may not move, but you're moving within 72 hours. For Devontae Graham today, he left today to go to San Antonio. He's playing tomorrow in Detroit. So it's like, shout out to my guy Tay. Like, that was my guy. And to see stuff like this happen, you can clap it up for my guy Tay.
Yeah. What he's saying, I was literally went to his house to go see him, and I'm like, where you going? Like, you know, I know the trade happened, but he's like, yeah, bro, I got to pack for a 9-day road trip. I got to get out of here. And I was like, damn, that's just crazy. It sucks.
Yeah. It's like, it's in an instance, and I think, you know, with this being my 10th year and you haven't played in the league for as long as you have, and you starting to see it, they don't mess around, man. Like, I kind of knew I was leaving, so I packed early. You know what I mean? I got a head start. I started clearing my locker out. I told our equipment guy 3 days before I got traded, I said, hey, start boxing my shoes up. I'll tell you where to ship. So, like, I knew. Some guys don't know, and that's the element in which you come into the locker room. Tomorrow we're going to go in the locker room. Tay's name tag's going to be gone. He sits beside me at film every day. I sit in seat 4 to the right. He's seat 3 from the right, and it's just like, it's awkward now, right? Like, it's just big change, and I think the human element is a tough part of it. And I feel most for the players that don't know. There's no warning, it just happens. That's gotta be the toughest part of it.
We hope you had fun with us today. We hope you laughed. We hope you had fun with us today. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button.